Hey everybody, this is Perch. I wasn't going to cover this, but a number of people have now mailed me about it and wanting to know the reality truth behind it. Is it what do we think? So I think this is a relatively boring story. We'll get the news out there. Marvel could lose the copyright over Spider-Man and Doctor Strange is the headline. So what is actually going on here? So Patrick Ditko, who's the brother of Steve Ditko, has registered 2 notices of copyright termination against Marvel Entertainment for the first appearances of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man in comic books. And so these are filed registry filings, basically to, I could go in, no, I'm not going to go down the detour of legalese here, but basically these are notice of termination of a copyright, and this is the party is Patrick Ditko, who's the administrator of the Steve Ditko estate, and this is basically filed against Marvel. But to be clear, it's against Marvel Entertainment, Marvel Worldwide, Marvel Property, Marvel Characters, Marvel Studios, Walt Disney Company, etc. This is all of the different parties, which would, in effect, if it was granted, eliminate the ability for Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, and in theory, a lot of the tag-along characters that also were created by Ditko to be, they basically couldn't do comics, they couldn't license, they couldn't create movies, they couldn't do anything with these characters. They would, basically the rights would then revert back to the Ditko estate, which would then be able to license them out as they will. And of course, they will immediately, hot news, breaking news, they will immediately go to DC, where Spider-Man will start fighting Batman and be a new member of the Justice League. That's what's happening for sure, right? No, that actually will not. So let's go through kind of the reality of this. First off, this isn't the first time. The Siegel estate did this with Superman, and what was the outcome of that? Well, there was some money that changed hands. There was some credit that needed to be applied. And DC, of course, is still publishing Superman, and they're still doing movies and everything else. There's a brief pause on some of the movie activities. There was this brief moment at DC where they were wondering if they need to phase out or change Superman significantly to the point of having a new character there. But that obviously was overcome with money. And so if we're fast forwarding ahead to the spoilers here, that's what's going to happen here as well. Anyway. So what does all this mean? So the articles and people reporting on that are saying that Steve Ditko, the late Steve Ditko now, didn't really ever aggressively pursue his creations. He basically viewed it as work for hire, which it largely was. He didn't want to pick a fight with Marvel. He had made some comments about creator-owned and everything else, but by and large, he left it alone. But the Ditko estate is a little bit of a different story, and it would, they're basically going to get some rights. So the outcome of this is that Disney's going to have to write the Ditko estate a check of some kind. So basically with the Siegel, where it came down to is the DC renegotiated the deal. They wound up paying more. As part of the deal, there's this credit that says by special arrangement with the family of Jerry Siegel. There's a couple other things I think that went out there where the Siegel estate gets some additional compensation depending on the types of usage that are worked. So there's a number of things that are happening, but the end result of this is basically this. Disney is not going to stop publishing Doctor Strange. I'm seeing some articles already out there saying, oh, but look, Marvel is removing Peter Parker as Spider-Man. It just so happens, and there's this death of Doctor Strange. This clearly, they're getting ready to dump the characters. They're not going to do that. Those are weird coincidences, but the reason why you're getting a death of Doctor Strange and the reason why you're getting this stuff with Peter Parker is because you had the Nick Spencer run ending. They're trying to do something new and shocking so they can get a bunch of money for the new launch. That's what's going on with Spider-Man. For Doctor Strange, it's a simple way to kind of pump up the character and hype Doctor Strange ahead of the movie next year, which is not that far away. So that's what's going on there. It has nothing to do with the Ditko estate. Keep in mind these comics, both Spencer's run, but in particular the death of Doctor Strange, I think was planned what was the article? I think the first planning of this was in January of this year, like 9 months ago. This was just filed, and there's been noise from time to time about the Ditko estate, but nothing very significant. So no, it's there's some very alarmist articles about how this is going to be the end of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and Peter Parker and all the, and other Aunt May and Uncle Ben and the Ancient One and everything else. But what's going to happen is there's going to, some Disney lawyers are going to look at it. A year and a half is going to go by at least. And then what's going to happen is people are going to come to the table. They're going to determine if this is something that wants to be fought. Chances are Disney will not want to aggressively fight it because the headlines will be, big multi-billion-dollar Disney corporation screws over family of artist who never received his due. That's going to be the headline. That's a little bit of what we got with the Siegel case, where when that first started rolling, I think the company believed they could just kind of bulldoze over it, and discovered that the public perception is such as it is. And I think comics is in this place right now where there's already a lot of frustration, irritation, I don't know the right word, around how people are treated in comics, and the creator rights and the fact they're not getting money. And there's more and more articles that are written about, look at these billion-dollar films, and yet the creators suffer and have to do GoFundMes for healthcare and that kind of stuff. And so they're not going to want more articles out there about, they're just not going to want that. So Disney's going to sit down and they're going to look for a way to quickly bury this. And there'll be some combination of some credit that we'll probably see in the first Doctor Strange movie next year. Some allow. Well, no, actually, I doubt it because it's going to take a year and a half to 2 years even to get to that point. They may throw a bone to try and settle this thing quickly and easily, but basically, you're going to see some royalties go to the family and go to the estate. You're going to see Marvel give a greater prominence to Ditko for a period of time. You're going to see maybe a tribute issue or some other things to kind of boost that creator up, which would be great because Ditko's a wonderful talent and it'd be nice. You're going to see a lot of comic creators posting incredibly insane hot takes about how they're now owed things for characters they did, but it's very unlikely to happen. The window for copyright termination, which you'll hear thrown around a little bit, it is basically the termination began in 2018. It finished in 2023. I've heard that there was at least some letters exchanged and some commentary earlier in this, but basically it's right about now in this window to file this notice. It's very common, not just in comics, but all entertainment properties, and very common in music and other places, for these kinds of copyright termination notices to be filed. It's a way to renew the license. It's a way to renew the deal. It's a way to get some more money on the table, particularly if it's still being used. And that's what will happen. So it's it's an interesting story, but it's unlikely to affect you as a reader at all. You are unlikely to see any change for any of this. So yeah, that's about it. That's what else can be said? I don't know. I mean, in general, the challenge is that when you take a freelance job, when you take a work for hire kind of contract, your abilities to do much with it are small. You do not have a lot of options. You don't have. You basically got paid out up front in most cases to do some work for somebody else with somebody else's characters. Many people have asked the question before, like, why would anybody do this? Well, the biggest reason is you get a lot of fame and publicity from working on Spider-Man or Batman. You probably don't have a Spider-Man or a Batman in your head, so this is a chance to put your name on something that's recognized the world over, and that's why people do it. With Ditko's case, yes, he helped create Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and major characters. He was the origin to a lot of these kind of major parts of the Marvel universe, and more power to him. He's an incredible person. But I don't think this is going to be the avalanche that's going to get a bunch of creators not to work with Marvel and DC because they want to retain their rights. I think if you have that concern, cool, and you should be working on it now, but understand that it's a trade-off. Working on Batman can make you rich. Working on Spider-Man can make you rich. hopefully while you're getting rich, you're coming up with your own ideas and you're doing things on the side to, be the second phase of your career where you get to take the money and the rights more directly. That's the game. Anyway, that's the buzz about Ditko. Again, I wasn't really going to cover this because this is fairly dry procedural legal stuff, but you asked, so there you go. That's what's going on, and thanks for listening.